Hello everyone, welcome to the Canadian Edge. It's time for another review, but before we get into that, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, leave a comment, let us know what you think, if you've been enjoying the videos or not. And we're going to take a look today at a Ruger Follow Through Compact. And this is a combination of Ruger rifle company and CRKT got together to make a knife for Ruger. And so you can see you got the CRKT on this side and Ruger on this side. And this is one of the knives that they've come up with. It has a blade length of 3.25 inches. Open, it's 7.75 inches. Closed, it is 4.5 inches. The steel on it, it is an 8CR13 MOV with a drop point blade. And it's got a weight of 3.36 ounces. So not too bad in the weight department. The handle is the glass reinforced nylon. And you can see it has a diamond checkered pattern on it, and my understanding is that is to be a resemblance of the 1911 Ruger handgun with the diamond pattern that they have on the hand grips of the gun. If somebody out there has more knowledge about that, they can let me know. But that's what I found in my research on this knife. So the pocket clip on this, it is a right hand carry. It can be moved to left hand, so you got the right left hand reversible carry on it. It's a fairly stiff pocket clip. Got a bit of a lip there, ramp, and it is tip up carry. And I hope you can see that the blade lines up fairly well down the middle, and it is a liner lock as well, so you got the lock inside and close it up. It has the IKBS ball bearing pivot system, which is used by CRKT. So it's not a bad pivot in this one. It was a little stiff when I first got it. Had to put some lubrication on it. If you watch the video where I unbox them, you'll see it takes a couple tries to get it out. Get the blade to flip out, but now, oops, now it flips out pretty good, as long as I don't put it into my table. And it is a flipper tab opening, and it does have these cuts in the blade here. I think that's more aesthetics and maybe a little bit of lightening of the weight of the knife, but yeah, they're not something, well, I guess you can get a grip to open it that way, but it's not suggested. It's so much easier with the flipper opening. It does have jimping, I guess, on the handle back here. You can see that. And it has some down here for grip purposes. And yeah, it has the partially open spine with the back spacer in there, and no lanyard hole on this, and you can see it's fairly open back there. So I hadn't seen the Ruger knives before, or hadn't had much to do with the Ruger knives, and so this is my first time checking out the Ruger knives. And what do I like about this knife? the good on this knife, well, it's not too bad looking knife. It's not maybe got super wow factor to it, but it's an okay looking knife. It's got great grip. Boy, you'd be hard to lose the grip on that one. And so it stays in your hand well. It fits fairly decent in the pocket. It's a smaller bodied knife, so it doesn't take up a lot of room in your pocket. It's somewhat of a deep carry, but not quite a deep carry. The pivot action on it it's pretty decent. It's not as good as a lot of the CRKT, but still you have no trouble getting it open every time if you keep it properly lubricated, and it works pretty decent. Things I don't, well, and one of the aesthetics that I kind of like, and I don't know why, but I kind of like this backspacer there. I think it gives it a nice look. It kind of stands out from the knife, and so for me anyway, it gives it a nice aesthetic, and just kind of breaks up the look of the knife a little bit. But that's my opinion. You may think it's kind of a goofy looking thing or don't like it at all, but I kind of like that. Some of the things I don't really care for on this knife, I don't like this jimping. It is not a lot of purpose to it, and when you put your fingers on it, it actually, if you're flipping this knife a lot, it gets kind of not painful, but kind of annoying. And it really doesn't, I suppose it helps a little bit with grip, but not a lot with grip. These ones a little more so because your fingers are there, but this doesn't really do much for me. I'm not a fan of this jimping on this knife. And the liner lock on this is a little stiffer than I would like. You can get to it, but it's not bad. You don't break your thumb or anything, but you do have to give it a fairly decent push. And so it's a little stiffer than I would like. And the flipper tab, it's just big enough to get to. If you had big fingers, you might find this one a little difficult to flip open. So the finger tab could be a little bigger maybe, or just slightly different. Maybe that's why they've got this cutaway part to get to the flipper a little bit better, but it does provide a finger guard big enough on this side to provide finger guard for you. And you've got a little bit of a choil there for sharpening purposes, and the grind, it isn't quite even on this knife. Not horrible, but you can see, especially in this area here, oops, almost cut myself, that the grind on there is not quite even. And the pocket clip mount, if you can see that, it doesn't bind up in the pocket, but I don't know, I've kind of got mixed feelings on it. I like that there's no screws in that to get bound up in the pocket, but I guess that's how they had to mount it to make it work for this knife. I prefer a little different mount, but it works. It does the trick. It's not horrible. It's just my preference, not my favorite. So let's take a look and see how sharp does this come from the factory. Get that in there where you can see it. So you can see it does have a fairly good edge. I found a lot of the knives that have the 8CR 13 MOV, they've been showing up fairly sharp from the factory, so that's a good thing. It's easy steel to sharpen. It just won't hold the edge as long as some of the more expensive steels. And whoa, cutting through there. It cuts through the zip tie pretty decent. Almost smacked my iPad. And we'll see how it cuts through this rope. Cuts through that rope without any problem at all. And how about the nylon cord? It cuts that without too much effort. So you do get a sharp blade when you get these. And you can find them for under $40 if you're looking. I forget, 30 something I think this was selling for when I picked it up. So they're a relatively inexpensive knife, and not too bad overall. I'd say, you know, if you want a knife that you can beat up and use in the garage and in the yard and at work, if you know, work construction or something like that, this would probably work good for you. Like I say, you get the nice grip on it, so it's easy to hang on to, and it's a fairly little bit bigger knife, mid-size. For those of you who are familiar with the mini Griptilian, you can see it's a bit bigger than that, and the mini Osborne. So it's a mid-size knife with a 3 1/4 inch blade. Good size for doing jobs around, like I say, around the yard or maybe the work site and stuff like that. So how long of a life you'll get out of the blade depends on what you're using it for. I don't use my knives for prying and stuff like that, but I definitely don't suggest using this knife for that, or any knife for prying things open. So, but yeah, it's overall, I'd say it's for me, it's an okay knife. It's not one that has wowed me, but I don't feel like I got ripped off in the price I paid for it. So that is the CRKT Ruger Follow Through Compact. There is a bigger size, and I forget offhand, I think it's 3 1/2 inch blade on the bigger knife, so it gives you a little more blade size, and I think the handle's a little bit bigger as well. It's just over 8 inches, the bigger size knife. So if you're looking for just a knife that you can carry, this would make a great EDC for somebody. It won't hit my EDC pile, but for other people, they probably really enjoy it. So overall, I don't have any serious complaints about the knife. It seems to be a decent knife. It just isn't quite the quality that I've seen with a lot of the CRKTs. I would rather have just a CRKT knife, not the combination of the two. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the CRKT Ruger Follow Through Compact. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be doing another review in a couple days, so watch for that. But until then, you stay safe and stay sharp.